Welcome to the Spark of Ages podcast. Today we're sitting down with Bill Macaitis, a true legend in the SaaS world who's been a marketing mastermind behind some of the most explosive growth stories in tech history. Bill's resume reads like a greatest hits album of hypergrowth companies. He was the CMO and CRO at Slack, helping turn it into one of the fastest growing business applications ever. Before that, he was the CMO at Zendesk, guiding them through their IPO, and Bill served as SVP of Marketing at Salesforce. We're talking about a guy who's been involved in 5 highly successful tech exits. That's not luck, that's pure skill. These days, Bill is just not resting on his laurels. He's a growth and marketing advisor for AI and SaaS companies and runs SaaS CMO Pro, where he shares his expertise with the next generation of marketing leaders. He's become the go-to guru for product-led growth, or PLG. Bill's core philosophy, keep it beautifully simple and always put the customer at the center of everything you do. Before getting into tech, Bill graduated from the Jice College of Business at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, where he graduated with honors and made the Dean's List. Some of the key takeaways you can expect from this episode: we'll talk about product-led growth as an enterprise strategy, the importance of a customer-centric approach and beautifully simple software, holistic marketing metrics beyond the funnel, and finally, the imperative of continuous learning and adaptation. Bill, welcome to the Spark of Ages.
Oh man, thanks so much for having me. That was crazy. I think that's the first time I've ever been introduced with saying that I made the Dean's List. And I think it was like one semester I got straight A's. That was pretty much it in college. The rest of it was a little up and down, but that was fun to bring that in there. Thanks so much.
We had to find some nugget about you that people don't know about. And that's one we found.
My mom will be happy that that was published. Yes.
This is a podcast for your mom. So
good deal. Thank you, sir.
All right, let's start with one of the favorite things you like talking about, which is PLG. And you've said before that the PLG initiative is one of the hardest things you've ever done, which is interesting since the 3 last companies that you talk about so much and that you helped build success for are those types of companies. So what I'm interested in learning about here is the technical and organizational hurdles. So what are the most overlooked emotional or cultural challenges that leaders and teams face when trying to pivot an entire organization towards PLG? And then how do you foster resilience during that incredibly profound shift?
Yeah. It's a tough motion, right? You know, we had a lot of success with it at Slack, Zendesk, Salesforce. And when I kind of wrapped up those tours of duty, I was like, what do I do next in life? And I was like, become a VC. And I'm like, oh, there's a million of those. But at least when I was going through my operator journey, there weren't as many advisors that could come in and help out. So that's what I do now. I help other SaaS and AI companies with their go-to-market grow faster. And I say it's hard because for a lot of companies that have gone down the SOG path or sales-led growth path, pivoting to a PLG motion is very difficult. It's difficult on a number of levels. I think one is just even getting what product-led growth is, right? Maybe start there, right?
Yeah, that's actually a great way to go.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, there's just a lot of misinformation or people think different things, right? Like I worked with one company who was like, hey, we've made a ton of progress on PLG. We have a trial. And I was like, okay, like, that's great. That's like one element of it, but there's a lot to it. So like philosophically, the way I've always thought about it is PLG is this idea that people are spending more and more of their time in the product itself. It's that simple, right? Yeah. And then how do you infuse your marketing into the product, your sales into the product, your support, your success into the product, right? And that's where it gets, a little more complicated, right? Because now you're going down high velocity motions. You're doing things like product qualified leads. You have freemium models, different pricing and packaging. You're thinking about the adoption. You're thinking about how simple it is to use. You're thinking about things like Net Promoter Score, how many people are actually using the product, like DAU. So it's a wide area, and it's difficult because, especially if you've done the SOG path, and especially if you're a couple series up there, right? So if you're in series C, D, E, F, whatever it is, right? A lot of the culture is built around the traditional sales model, which is, all right, let's do outbound. Let's bring in a lot of leads. Let's hand them all off to sales, and marketing will run away. And, hopefully we'll hit our quarter. And like the PLG model, it's just so different. Like there's totally different metrics. Like I said, there's things like DAUs, product qualified leads, Net Promoter Score, very different than a traditional SLG company. I think culturally, a lot of people worry about some of the key tenets of PLG, right? So freemium I'm a huge advocate of freemium. Like you kind of did a nice intro with the Slack, Salesforce, Zendesk. But before that, I did 15 years on the B2C side. And I've done almost 30 years of online startups. And every single one I've had a freemium model, right? And so for me, it's like, oh yeah, of course you do. There's all these benefits, higher growth and a snap. But for a lot of people, freemium is scary. It's like, oh, what does that mean? What's the COGS or the cost center for support or bandwidth? Or how are we going to sell a paid product if we have a free product? PLG is very scary for a lot of salespeople, right? It's like, hey, how does this impact my quota? Oh my God, like I can no longer sell there. They keep pushing me up market. There's just a lot of like fears around it. And once you've already invested in a certain model, a sales and growth model, it's very hard to pivot. Now, the new SaaS and AI startups, like it's amazing. Like 73% of them have adopted PLG. So like that is the dominant model coming out. But for a lot of companies that are pivoting to it, it's a tough one. And it's tough from just all the different elements you need to do, but just really culturally, like I found like that's the hardest thing. You really have to get, the board behind it. You have to get the C-suite behind it, the founders behind it, sales behind it, product, marketing. There's all these teams that really have to buy into it if it's going to be successful.
Is this one of those things where you have to be more top-down led, where it's coming from senior management, and then they have to create a separate group that goes off and does this? Or have you found it sometimes it's bottom up, or it's engineers wanting to build something, or it's a group of folks wanting to do something on their own as part of this? When you're talking about it, you mentioned like there's series, CEF, those companies are pretty far along and they've built a level of ARR and growth. Otherwise it wouldn't be at that level. So for them, it must be hard because there's an ingrained culture to shift to. Earlier, I guess they're in more experimental mode and they're willing to try new things. What are some couple key points that you find that stick out for you on that?
So one to kind of answer your question, I've probably worked with, 30 plus different startups on either building PLG for the first time and doing it the right way or pivoting to it. And I would say, from a pattern recognition standpoint, I will say the ones that have the hardest times are the ones that are further, like I said, in the series C, D, E, F type size, but also the ones that just assign a tiger team to it. Like that's the one that I find like has the hardest time. I found one company, they were struggling with their PLG motion. And I'm like, well, walk me through, what have you done so far? And they're like, well, we have one guy working on it. He's remote, he's over here, and we have another 1,000 salespeople doing this. And I'm like, well, that's gonna be tough too when you just have one person.
Yeah, right? One speedboat and one tanker, right?
Yeah, good right, totally. I do find like the ones that have a lot of success from just a practical standpoint is one, starting to use PLG metrics. We talked about that, like so PQLs, DAUs,
so daily active user,
daily active users, product qualified leads. And that's a different model, right? So the old model was you would just someone come in, fill out a form, and they go straight to sales. And the new model, you get them straight into the product. You wait for some certain thresholds of product activity, and then the sales goes in, right? So it's a qualified and it's product. And so I found it's best to adopt some of those metrics, and then best to really have this as a company-wide initiative, right? Because really, to make it successful, you have to have product focusing on it. You have to have marketing focusing on it. You have to have sales focusing on it.
Right. I think you've talked about this in some of your videos. You just can't take your existing product and say, oh, go play with it. Right?
Totally.
Because usually most enterprise level products have training associated. You have customer success associated. You have a whole onboarding process. And now you're basically saying, put it in the damn product. Right?
I'll put it another way. Most enterprise products suck, right?
They do.
And they're really hard to use.
Yeah, Bill, I got to tell you from my experience, when we've tried to do it internally, where we've taken our tools and we've started with an enterprise product, I have a pretty good sized marketing team that does the work. If the interface sucks, they just won't use it.
Totally. Right.
I can't force them like other companies that have big operational teams. Like they just won't use it. They'll just find other ways around it.
Yeah. And that's a huge, huge part of a PLG motion too. And why some of these later companies have a hard time pivoting into it is that typical enterprise sales motion is all about features. I need this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature.
Big feature rack up things.
Totally. Right.
Where's my gap?
We look great on our checklist, right? But
so what if the feature sucks?
Yeah. And the more features you add, the harder it is to use, right? So, you have this really hard to use product, and a big part of a PLG motion is making it simple and easy to use, right? So I advocate for things like, hey, after someone onboarded with you, give them a little like, hey, how easy was it to use us? Thumbs up, thumbs down, right?
Yeah.
If you have 17% thumbs up, okay, our quarter next goal is to get that up to 30% and then the 40%, whatever it is, right? But a very different model, like product is used to building features, and a PLG motion, you're trying to make it simple, easy to use.
So one of the things you have to do is you have to instrument the product.
Absolutely.
Right? So like if you're not in the product itself, like you're talking about, having those thumbs up, thumbs down capabilities in the product, which
Yeah.
is not an enterprise thing. If you don't have, then you're just not. And then off
Yeah.
of that, if you're doing it well, you're actually kicking off campaigns and notifications to other,
insights.
Yep.
Teams are working cross-functionally. So a lot of times too, like this isn't just product, right? Like a lot of time at Slack, the marketing team spent a ton of time in the product, right?
Yeah.
And what we would do is we would rewrite all the backend developer dialogue and prompts that they wrote and make them more fun and easy to understand. Yep. We would put in Easter eggs. We would, religiously go through the onboarding flow, the sign up flow. For a lot of enterprise companies, like the sign up feature, like was built like 11 years ago, right? And none of the execs have gone through the sign up process in a decade, right? Yeah. And they don't know, like, and they don't realize like how hard it is to learn this totally new UI and taxonomy. And I think ultimately, like, kind of getting down to the brass tacks, it's like having these teams work together, having it be a company-wide initiative, having the right metrics, having an advisor or just someone who's done it, that can come in and help them with that.
So how do you make that flip happen? Because now you're saying the entire company has to work on this together. A lot of times your product designers are probably not the right people, or they have to be open to help from someone that knows this way of doing this more Duolingo style or entertainment style way of using a product.
B2C style, right? Yeah.
Right? How do you think about that? When you're coming in that situation, is this a senior level person, getting crap from the board saying, this is something you got to look at, or they've gone to some events that they've seen some things and said, wow, compared to these firms, I'm falling behind, or is it something more organic than that?
Yeah, I think the impetus usually comes from the board, right? The board is like saying, hey, if we want to go IPO, we need this level of capital efficiency, this level of growth. We're not there. We think PLG can help accelerate that, or even just more capital efficient, right? Like I work with some orgs and it's like, my God, they're using like human salespeople to sell to $5,000 and less ASPs, right? Yeah, and it's like, the unit economics are just so hard to make that model work, right? Like you need a high velocity of that. So usually pressure from the board comes in. I think the CEO or the founders then, want to try to move something like this, right? So sometimes they'll bring an advisor like myself, but even the DNA of the company though, right? Like I'm a big fan of like, hey, hire some B2C people, right? Because like they kind of live and die by that. Like you can't have a consumer app that's super hard to use. There is no model where you can have 10,000 customer success people training every single person to use your app, right? It just doesn't work, right?
You will die.
Yeah. Or even like, it was funny, like Stuart and I from Slack, he was the founder there. We both had a gaming background, right? And so we kind of understood like even these enterprise.
Slack was originally going to be a gaming company.
It was going to be a game,
and
right?
He comes from Blogger, right? Which is a very much of a consumer.
Blogger, Flickr, consumer. And so we spent a lot of time making Slack fun to use, right? Because if it's fun, people use it. So we spent a lot of time on like, hey, like our most successful integration, you'd find this hilarious. It wasn't like HubSpot or Marketo or Salesforce. It was Giphy. Like everyone wanted to use like the automated Giphy. Totally. We had a message loading of the day. When we added emoji support, that was huge. It was like all these fun things that matters, right? If your product is like just painful to use, it's not fun at all. Of course, people aren't going to use it. They're not going to recommend it. They're not going to talk about it. So like, it's a very different playbook. And that's just why I say like, it's a little bit hard, right? Like if you're going to, go down that path.
You're saying when you're going to do this, you better really commit.
Yes.
And you have to align the team. You have to bring in the types of folks that can make a difference there. You have to change your metrics and how this works. And I'll tell you, here's something interesting.
Yeah.
How did I get my company to move off of emails and other chat applications to Slack? I couldn't get people to move.
Oh, it's hard. Yeah.
CEO of a couple 100-person company should be able to get shit done. So what we did was in one of our larger offices, every day we have a snack in the evenings that people go to the cafeteria to eat. And we found that worked better than giving out free lunch, free dinner, because everybody had such weird diets. So I said, we are not going to send out another email about this. You're going to put this on Slack. And so they every day would publish that on Slack. And then the other thing they did was for birthdays, they created a celebration channel, and then you would get celebrated on your birthday. So that drove adoption more than company-wide announcements, team-based, client-based initiatives. That's what worked.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, it's the little things. And I mean, you hit it on the head, right? Like half the stuff with PLG or really any new initiative, right? Like AI is a huge one. How do you embed AI in the company? It's more of a change management exercise. I found it's less hard figuring out like what do you do with PLG and the steps. It's a little difficult, but hey, I can lay out pretty easily. Like what's more challenge is like how do you transform a 300 person organization, a 5,000 to 10,000 person organization to really like buying in and understanding like how this can so help out your growth rates and be more capital efficient.
So you led me right to my next question, which is all about AI, right? So you're obviously a fan of AI. I'm sure you're using it even as part of your advisory service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or doing all these amazing content pieces that you're doing. And you've talked about PLG landmines. So what are PLG landmines, like poor onboarding, lack of product stickiness, internal misalignment, that AI in its current and near future state is uniquely positioned to solve or significantly mitigate, perhaps in ways that traditional methods don't or cannot?
AI is transforming every single element of businesses right now. And I am a full fan of it, right? And I think it's incredibly powerful. There's still a lot of hiccups now that anyone will see it'll hallucinate or just maybe not go down the right path. And, part of choosing the right model and the right base LM. But I do think it's going to help every area, right? Including PLG. Like a huge thing that allows now is more different pricing models, right? So I mentioned I'm a huge fan of Freemium. A big model that is becoming much more common now is outcome-based pricing, right? And that's being kind of enabled by AI in a PLG model to where you basically say, hey, we're only going to charge on a successful outcome for your business, right? So if you're in customer support, for instance, historically it was, you would pay for, per seat, how many, customer support agents you had, or maybe it's just some giant licensing fee.
And you can't do that as much anymore if you have a whole bunch of non-human agents.
Non-human agents, right? So it forced like we had to evolve, right? And so now you're seeing, hey, it's being priced per successful resolution, right? So Intercom, Salesforce, a bunch of the pure AI companies are adopting towards that. I think that's a really cool thing. I think another cool thing that AI is enabling is personalization at scale. In the past, it was just impossible to provide the level of personalization. And that could be on the outreach side, that could be on the onboarding side, that could be within the product itself, but AI is enabling huge amounts of advancements there. The targeting, the content, the video, just every single element, right? Like it's hard for me as a former CMO to think of any individual team I had that is not being, completely changed and how they do their work.
That's right.
And the power of it. So yeah, I'm a huge fan, and I think this movement is here to stay.
So like you, I sat with one of my clients. It's a pretty good size. I think it's like Series E or F1 integration firm who will be nameless. Amazing people. Some of them have been on the show, and that was the number one topic of conversation when we were talking about AI and agentic AI. Is what do I do with the pricing model? It's a huge issue. And even outcome is hard. We're trying to do this with us, which is we have outcome for our services, right? In a sense, like I deliver a website or I deliver this content or I deliver certain results for the campaigns that I run. But some things are by the hour. And that's going to, and I think AI gives us the opportunity to actually charge based on an outcome and a successful outcome and defining that well and verifying it. And there's a lot of opportunity there. And I love your point about personalization. I mean, this I think is the greatest opportunity for marketers to truly go to one-to-one marketing.
Absolutely.
Marketing and sales in many ways merge because a lot of times the marketer creates the strategy and creates the headline and the thrust of what they're supposed to do, and then sales executes it. But if I have a bunch of agents doing it,
there's a lot of like, hey, what's going to happen, right? Like I've always thought kind of philosophically, like marketing is just kind of automated sales.
Yeah.
We build these campaigns, we're doing a lot of, advertising, messaging, high velocity type stuff. But it's going to be fascinating, right? Like I think the pessimist in me is like, oh my God, like every single job in white collar land is like going away, except for maybe some generalists that know how to run all the stuff together. The optimist in me, because I have a daughter and I want her to grow up in a good world, is that like, man, the barriers to entry to creating new businesses are just tumbling down.
Yeah.
And, she will have access to hey, she's not a legal expert. Great. She's got a legal agent, right? Or she's got a sales agent or a marketing agent or HR, all these ones. And not only that, the prices are coming way down, right? With all this new competition,
Yeah.
and AI doing more efficiently. So I'm hoping that it spurs a whole bunch of new businesses, a new landscape. And I know every time a new technology comes, it's always scary, right?
Everybody's always scared. They were scared during the internet, right? When the internet first came out.
Mobile, like every big change,
the
right?
whole, I think it's this thing where we can't envision the unknown.
Yeah.
And we have to sort of just trust economics and trust that people have to buy things.
Yeah.
Robots can buy things, but robots can't.
Yeah. Well, and
they can't go on vacation.
Not everyone has like $10,000 to work with a lawyer, right? Or
right.
can hire expensive sales. Like it's. I think it's a good thing overall.
I know we're going a little bit away from marketing. When my son was graduating from law school, his dean of the law school said, one of the things AI, there's a concern that we'll get rid of lawyers, but actually legal filings will be easier to do for folks that don't have easy access to lawyers. So now they can actually redress their grievances through the legal system in a way that they couldn't. So maybe AI can help change things for the better in ways that we just haven't thought of.
Yeah, democratize it, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so going a little bit away from AI, but kind of staying with it. This is a hot topic among CMOs, right? That a lot of them have objectives where they have to source leads, right? Or even source MQLs. John Miller really well. He'll go crazy over that, right? He's like, I created, with Marketo, I created this machine where marketers turn into MQL generators, when really marketers are supposed to be much more about building a market, right? And much more about driving the overall system, working hand in hand with sales. Yeah. So in a PLG world, are there specific product-led features or experiences that help marketers and sales work more effectively together? How do they integrate in this?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? And I know John well. We just did a big B2B industry marketing benchmark survey, and so we were, it was fun kind of publishing that. But yeah, I think ultimately, like, these teams can and should work together. I think like fundamentally, like how B2B splits up marketing and sales is just based off like a 30-year-old relic go-to-market model that's gotten really old and dusty and it hasn't been updated. And look, I think marketers should be focusing on every single stage of the journey, right? From prospect to lead to opportunity, to close business, to expansion, to going in new product lines, right? Like every single element of that, marketing could be in there helping out, right? And also sales too, right? Like I think they have a part of that journey. These teams need to work together. I think the PLG model is a much more efficient model, right? So we talked about that earlier, like this old model where you come in as a visitor, you just see some form that you want to access a piece of content, you fill out the form, all of a sudden sales starts calling you, they're way too early, you're not ready, it's a bad experience. Where the new model is like, hey, you come in, create this tent, they land there, they go straight into the product, maybe this freemium model, very low friction, they're experiencing value quickly. Now you have a concept of product qualified lead. All right, it came from this company, we historically sell well into this vertical, they've passed this usage. Hey, now sales is going to reach out. Much easier sell. They're already using the product. They like it. You have some internal advocates already there. But, that just means that these teams need to work a little bit differently and work together, right?
Are these metrics like shared metrics then?
I do. Yeah. I'm a big advocate. And I think John as well is like of having shared metrics, right? So I think when you create a model where marketing is just in charge of like leads, and then sales in charge of the rest, it just creates friction.
It's just warfare. It's open warfare between each other. Yeah.
Put them on the same goal. Now you could argue it's a funnel-based goal, and that's fine. I would argue funnel-based goal. So when I say funnel-based, I'm like leads, pipe, close business. Funnel-based goals in my mind encourage very short-term behavior, right? We have to hit next week. We have to hit next month. It encourages you to lock everything down, use bad sales tactics, promise features that don't exist, right? Just do whatever you can to get the sale. Right? Like, I think it's a little bit smarter to think more long range. So in the product-led growth world, you are thinking about daily active users. Are people actually using the product? Do people actually like the product? Yeah. Are they past a certain threshold? But I also think like brand stuff, right? Like, hey, what is aided recall, sentiment, share of voice?
Right. So now you're getting into brand. So these are soft PLG sorts of metrics, right? So when I'm doing the PLG, it is daily active users, product qualified leads. And of course, I'm sure you would say this is for my ideal customer profile, right? Because sometimes PLG leads you to get a customer that you actually won't get revenue from. I'd love to hear your point of view on that because I ran into that situation in my own company, but then takes you to the soft ones that you're talking about, like brand affinity, or is it share of voice? Are we still in the share of voice? Aided, unaided? Are we still doing that?
There's a whole host of brand metrics out there. I would just say this, a lot of companies that I've worked with on the B2B side are tracking zero brand metrics.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think like coming from the consumer side, like, hey, brand is kind of a long-term leading indicator, right? Again, if you only focus on short-term demand gen, you're not building up any type of affinity. You're not building up awareness. A really common thing that startups will come to me is the founder will go like, hey, I love our product. We've got like 15 customers, but no one knows about us, right? Like, and hey, that's kind of an issue of sometimes the metrics there.
It's the hardest way to walk into the
hardest way to grow. Like it sucks.
You got to go in and explain who the hell you are, and they're coming in skeptically. And as you know, Bill, like now in today's world where people expect to interact with their product, their consumer products, they like to find you before they find them. I think the last Forrester event, they're saying, depending on whether you're Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, you're going between 60 and 80% of people who find you before you find them.
Oh, I've heard that even 80, 90%, depending on the analyst putting that out there. So yeah, I mean, the entire buying model has changed, right? And I think at the end of the day, kind of understanding how these different models, product-led growth, sales-led growth. There's also like product-led sales, which I like. And I'm a big advocate of, is like, hey, get them into the product, right? And then obviously you have to do your homework, do the right ICP, do the right marketing, so you're bringing in the right people. But then you score it. And then sales reaches out to them, right? But sales doesn't reach out to everyone because salespeople are very expensive and you want to only have them reach out to the right ones, much shorter deal cycle. Now, the people that don't buy, I'm actually I have a pretty strong point of view on this. So I've done a couple videos on SaaS CMO Pro. By the way, if anyone wants to watch these videos, just go to cmopro.com and you'll see all of them there.
I'm a big advocate. I love what you've done. You've made it super easy for people to understand. You've done a great job with your YouTube shorts that then lead you to these somewhat longer and then much longer episodes, which are chock full of great information.
Oh, thank you so much, man. For anyone watching, I try to make them simple and fun, right? Just anyone that wants to learn about this stuff here. But anyway, so I've done a really long video just on freemium because I'm super passionate about it. And the best way that I like to think about freemium and people coming in that maybe aren't willing to pay is that it kind of goes back to the earlier discussion with the PLG and the board, right? The board, investors, Wall Street wants capital efficient growth engines, right? Mm-hmm. They want fast growing companies that have the right margins that are profitable. So you have this spectrum of how do you achieve this growth, right? And there's some old school models, which is like, we're going to just do outbound sales. There's inbound sales. There's outbound marketing campaigns. There's inbound marketing, SEO content. And there's like PLG and word of mouth, right? The more you go down that spectrum, the more capital efficient it gets. Now, freemium is a really good example of, it's kind of a mindset. So at Slack, we had millions of free users, right? Like 10 million free users. And some people look at that and go, oh my God, I have 10 million people that I have to pay bandwidth for and support. And there is a cost associated with everyone that's free users. I looked at it as like, wow, my marketing team at Slack is 10 million. Like I have a 10 million strong marketing
especially if
team.
They're using it, right?
Yes.
Not just listed or signed up. If they're actually using it, this is freaking amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. And so I always looked at it as like, hey, because sometimes when you get in the pricing and packaging, I never liked a free trial because it's basically saying, hey, we have all these free marketers, but at some point we fire them, right? You hit the 30-day trial, you can no longer use the product, you're all fired, right? And in lieu of that, so if you don't have a freemium plan, what a lot of times will happen is it's like, okay, marketing, we need you to go get 10 million DAUs. Okay, I can do that. I can run my YouTube ads. I can run my billboard ads. I can do all this. But hey, that costs some serious dollars. So let's compare those dollars versus the dollars of the bandwidth, the support costs for the free user. And usually it's significantly less. So I like the freemium models for those that want to dominate their category, really win the awareness battle. That's a huge battle for it. Also, what you'll find is SMBs are historically super price sensitive. A lot of SMBs just aren't going to pay you regardless, but there's a ton of SMBs out there. And they move jobs, they move to different companies, they have friends of different company sizes, right? So I always was on the model of have a freemium model, get the awareness benefits, but then sell to the enterprise. And that's where you make your money, right? On these higher plans.
And then would you do that as part of your segmentation or your reporting, saying, okay, yes, I have 10 million and I know of this, I'm going to get a much smaller amount that actually pay and a certain amount that then, we did this with a bunch of clients of ours. And then a certain amount's going to be enterprise. And so you're presenting this model and then you're showing it with multiple lenses. One is just pure demand gen for enterprise, but the other one is brand awareness, their mobility to other places, their word of mouth association, maybe sales velocity, right? You could probably do it that way, right?
Yeah, sales velocity. And also it does, having a freemium in a weird way, it opens up a lot of land and expand for enterprises, right? Yeah. Like when we were at Slack, we would constantly have the scenarios where some teams like IBM in Southeast Asia, the design team started using us, right? And then it started to spread on the free plan. Then it spread to another team, right? All on free plans. And eventually like, oh, well, we want to upgrade. We want to have, one bill. We want to have consolidated, reporting. We want to have SSO for all these teams, right? Admin settings.
So then they come to you.
Then they come to us, right? Or we would reach out to them too sometimes. It could be either scenario there.
So now we're talking about this with the disruption of AI.
Yeah.
So you have this whole situation, and like you talked about, ChatGPT is a classic, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, classic examples of pure freemium-based strategies where it's pretty expensive to generate an image, right? I think we saw that thing about ChatGPT saying, hey, maybe chill out on the what is it called? Ghibli generation.
Studio Ghibli's.
Ghibli. How should companies rethink their long-term go-to-market strategy? So they're looking to build resilience, adaptability, relevance, where go-to-market functions may be completely redefined by AI. It's more than short-term gains. What does a future-proof go-to-market look like from your perspective?
Ooh, I don't know if there's any future-proof go-to-market. The thing I always try to look at it is like, for me, go-to-market is always evolving and improving and adapting and iterating, right? Like if you were a CTO, you get fired if you're like, we're just going to use the same coding language we did 20 years ago. C++, that's great. We're going to use it everywhere, right? They're like, what? But a lot of times in go-to-market, literally you hire this person, they're like, we're going to use the same classic go-to-market model I've been using for the last 30 years.
Because it works, damn it.
It's outbound and I love it, right? I love product-led growth. I love product-led sales. I have freemium models, but it's always iterating. It's always evolving. And I will say you see companies that have adopted the right go-to-market model, like a Cursor, for example, on the dev side with AI, hitting 100 million and just like,
I didn't even know about Cursor till I last visited my operations team, and they're like, oh yeah. And before I was like, hey, how's that GitHub Copilot? They're like, oh, we got that and Cursor. And
totally.
Here's the context by which you use either. Yeah, it's amazing.
High velocity freemium model. A lot of these startups too. I just started working with another AI startup that, they're in the lean model. So they're like, hey, they only have 13 people, 20 million ARR, right? So crazy. You really have to think about like, hey, what is the capital efficiency of these different models? And they do make a huge difference. Like the go-to-market model you choose has huge implications. The pricing and packaging you use, freemium, product-led growth, like there's all these different elements that can just really make it. And I think, I'm a big believer like, hey, adopt the AI tools now, the pricing, the adoption, the personalization, like these are ones that are just going to give you force function improvements and essentially like make that go-to-market just modern best of breed moving forward.
Totally agree. It's like learn or die, right? Get in or get wiped out. So I'm with you 100% on this. All right, Bill, this was a tremendous amount of insight. You've packed so much into a really short amount of time. So now it's time to really test your skills. We're going to go to the Spark Tank. So let me lay it out for you, Bill. Welcome to the Spark Tank, where business legends face their ultimate test. And today, we're putting decades of strategic thinking to the crucible. Today, we're thrilled to have Bill Macaitis join us, a man who's been studying business longer than most people have been alive and has the track record to prove that all that childhood Fortune magazine reading actually paid off. Tonight, we're putting all that accumulated business wisdom to the test with the ultimate pivot point challenge.
Wow. Okay.
We're going to drop you into the most crucial decision moments in business history, those make or break crossroads where companies either soared to legendary status or became a cautionary tale in a tough Harvard Business School case study. Here's how it works. I'll describe a famous company at a crucial decision point without naming them, and you'll need to identify the company and predict what they should do next. Then we'll reveal what actually happened to see if your strategic instincts match up with business history. So Bill, are you ready to prove that your business pattern recognition is as legendary as your growth track record?
This is crazy. I've never done this, but let's do it, man. This sounds fun.
All right. Well, that's why we had you here, Bill, just to set you up for this. All right. Here's scenario one. You're running a scrappy software company when the most powerful name in business calls. They're secretly building their first personal computer and desperately in need of an operating system. The giant offers you a choice. Sell them the operating system outright for immediate cash that would solve all your money problems, or demand ongoing royalties for every machine sold. This hardware giant has never failed at anything, but personal computers are uncharted territory. What's your move? A, sell the operating system for a large lump sum. B, license the operating system for a royalty on each computer sold. C, decline the deal and focus on your own hardware ambitions. And this is if you're really thinking forward. D, open source your operating system to build a community and attract more partners.
All right. Well, if my history is right, I believe this is Steve Jobs and Apple being approached by Bill Gates from Microsoft. And I'm pretty sure they won C, which was a pretty gutsy decision at the time, but obviously played out well with an integrated hardware and software offering.
How about if I play a part of it back to you?
Okay.
And see if you change your answer. You're a scrappy software company when the most powerful name in business calls. They're secretly building their first personal computer and desperately in need of an operating system.
Is this Microsoft and IBM?
You got it.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay. And so I thought it was, because you said it was a cool software system. So I thought it was the GUI that Apple had. Oh, I got you here. License, right?
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
And a decacorn was born.
Yeah, that's right. And is just ridiculous today. So the company is Microsoft, Bill Gates. I think he bought DR-DOS for $64,000. Then said he had it. He, with his good buddy Paul Allen, went out and they sold it to IBM, and they had the IBM PC. And he chose to license the OS to IBM, MS-DOS to IBM, rather than sell it outright. And it allowed Microsoft to license the OS to other PC makers as well. IBM did not restrict them, even though they wanted to, fueling a meteoric rise and dominance in the software industry.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay. So Bill Gates and Paul Allen of the time. All right. So here's number two. This one's going to be a little harder. You're leading a tech startup that assigns 3-word addresses to every 3 square meters on Earth. After launching in 3 countries, the results are mixed. In Mongolia, nomads find it useful but don't pay. In Germany, automakers license it for their navigation systems, but growth is slow. In the UK, adoption is near zero despite marketing aimed at consumers and businesses for vehicle breakdowns and accidents. With cash running low, you must choose a survival strategy. A, double down on Mongolia, refining the product for nomadic communities. B, focus on Germany's auto industry, betting on luxury car partnerships. C, pivot to emergency services in the UK, positioning it as a life-saving tool. Or D, abandon all markets and open source the technology.
I feel confident saying doubling down on the market in Mongolia. I don't think I've ever heard that in any Harvard business case success story. So I'm going to rule out that one. This has got to be around like geofencing or geotargeting or some tech there. So I'm guessing it's more on they probably went with the luxury automakers for maybe the mapping side of it. I'm guessing. I don't really know who this is, but that'd be my best guess.
I thought this was hard. I wouldn't have been able to guess this one that easily. So A, I think I'm going to exclude A. It's gonna,
I love the
willingness to pay is going to be.
We're going to double down on Mongolia. That's sorry if anyone's from Mongolia here right now, but you just don't normally have that listed in the top software market.
The future Genghis Khan is there, right? So there you go. And then so let's choose between B and C. So focus on Germany's auto industry, betting on luxury car partnerships. Pivot to emergency services in the UK, positioning it as a life-saving tool.
All right, I could see C too. I mean, I was torn between B and C here.
And I'm not going to expect you to know the company because that was hard. I didn't even know it. But I will say the answer is the company's called What 3 Words. So What 3 Words is a proprietary geocode system designed to identify any location on the surface of the Earth with a resolution of approximately 3 meters. It is owned by What 3 Words Limited, based in London, England. The system encodes geographic coordinates into 3 permanently fixed dictionary words. And they chose
London, I'm
C,
assuming. Yeah.
Targeting emergency services, a national TV campaign showcasing how the system saved lives led to adoption by police, ambulance services, and outdoor rescue teams.
Makes sense. That's a pretty cool solution.
This pivot transformed them into a critical infrastructure tool. which you could argue. I think it's a fair argument to say go after automakers because that's a long-term way of being successful, or something immediate, which is emergency
Total
services.
pivot.
But now you're going after government, which is also hard. So this was a tough one.
We talked about, Tiny Spec, which was Slack, the game before it pivoted to a business messaging platform. So sometimes pivots are the right way to go.
Yeah. Well, this is all about pivots. So here we go.
Okay.
Next one. You're CEO of a 100-year-old textile manufacturer. Sales are collapsing, factories are closing, and bankruptcy looms. A disgruntled investor who owns 49% of shares proposes a radical plan. Shut down textile operations immediately, use remaining capital to acquire an insurance company. So search your mind for some history. This will come to light. Okay. A, accept the plan, betting on his investment acumen. B, reject it and seek a government bailout for textiles. C, counteroffer, keep textiles running part-time while diversifying. D, liquidate everything and distribute cash to shareholders.
Man, are listeners nailing all these? I'm going to go, this is a Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett thing, and I'm going to go A, that he knows his stuff. I could be wrong here. I actually think a fascinating parallel before you answer is really the cash cow dilemma that Google has right now, right? Are you just going to show the answers, or are you going to continue to show links, right? And they are caught in that classic innovator's dilemma of what do they do, right? But anyways, all right, we'll go back here. What was the answer on this one?
I think you're right on with today's challenge, and we should note that because the choices they make today will dramatically impact their future. You're right. It's Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay.
There's a famous investor. His name is Warren Buffett. Young guy at the time, chose A. He terminated textiles, acquired National Indemnity Insurance, and transferred Berkshire into a holding company for investments like Geico, Dairy Queen, so many others. The pivot created one of the most successful conglomerates in history. So
he's got a pretty good track record.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good. And he just recently stepped down at 92 or 4.
I know.
Incredible.
Still living in the same house. It's a crazy story.
Same house, drives the same car, but does like to fly net jets because he owns it. So, all right. You want to? I have an interesting one for scenario 4.
Okay, yeah.
You're leading a startup building encryption software for handheld devices. So this is another pivot. Mm-hmm. The .com boom is in full swing, but your core product is not gaining traction. Few customers are buying security software for devices. Meanwhile, you notice a surge in online auctions, especially on a new site, where buyers and sellers struggle to exchange payments quickly and securely. Your team proposes a radical pivot, abandon handheld security, and instead build a digital wallet to let people send money by email. This would mean a complete overhaul of your business model and a leap into the unknown world of online payments. Okay, what would you do? A, stick to your core, double down on handheld device security and wait for the mobile market to mature. B, seek a merger with another struggling fintech startup to pool resources and survive. C, license your encryption technology to bigger software firms and exit the consumer market. Or D, pivot to digital payments, launching an email-based money transfer service for online buyers and sellers.
Well, I'm going to guess this is a D. This is PayPal. I could be wrong here, but that's the direction I've got. First of all, you're talking about eBay here, or maybe we're going down the crypto path. But yeah, I'm going to go PayPal on this one.
Totally nailed it, Bill. So the company's PayPal, originally Confinity, founded by Max Levchin, Peter Thiel, and Luke Nosek.
Yeah, there's a mafia.
There you go. And of course, we know Elon Musk eventually made his way into that with X.com. So they chose X, they pivoted to digital payments, launched PayPal, allowed people to send money via email. It was a massive pain point, as you were talking about, for eBay users, right? eBay eventually bought them. PayPal became the default payment platform for online auctions, leading to its IPO in 2002, an acquisition by eBay for $1 billion that same year.
Cool history.
It's amazing.
Fun game.
Yeah, fun game. So your point on Google. So this is a point where they make their money by providing links to others. They are providing, to the consternation of many many firms that are trying to get their SEO results. They have AIO, right? AI overviews at the top. They now they put their ads in between and they push organic results way to the bottom, right? That's their response to it. Or they could just, like ChatGPT and OpenAI, just provide a damn good answer.
For me, I think they're missing the boat on this one. I know they're trying to transition softly, but I think that's really hurting their brand. Because the problem is all the people that still go to Google, and by the way, I don't think they've rolled that out universally. I think they're doing it very geographic and segment-wise. So a lot of people are still getting the same old frustrating experience, and they're trying, whether it's, Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and they're having a much better experience. It's a 10x better experience, and they're losing I think a lot of people. I mean, I just think they know the direction it's going. You just need to show the answer. You can still show the citations, and there is, like you said, a whole AI optimization there.
What do you do with hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue profit?
You say, hey, we're focusing on the long run, right? Like that's what founders are supposed to do, is look beyond this 3-month, 1-year hurdle and look towards the long run. Look, I think ChatGPT's got a pretty good valuation, right? And they're just showing the answer, right? And they've evolved their business model to include subscriptions, right? Which is a natural evolution there. They're selling to enterprises.
I even saw them the other day when I asked about traveling somewhere. There's like, do you want us to book it for you?
Yeah.
So just
totally.
like Google allows you to get commissions by sending into a booking service, they're starting to do the same thing.
I feel like Google has, like, it's in parallel to our earlier conversations, they've used SLG for so long and it's been really successful. And a new go-to-market model has come out. It's better, but they're kind of like, let's just put 2 people on this and dip our toes in. And I get it. It is literally like the classic innovator's dilemma. This is like what, Harvard Business Review, everybody writes about, right? And there's a huge shareholder pressure not to let profits go down or revenue go down in the short run. But I just think anybody watching this, like, there will come a point very soon probably where, ChatGPT is going to eclipse enterprise value of Google. Close behind them will be Anthropic and Perplexity. And it's just like, anyone watching that follows the space knows it.
What about Gemini?
I think Gemini's great, but they hide it. Like, it's hard to get to. Like, I want to just use it too. Like, I'm an early adopter. I love this stuff. Like, it's not, I don't just go to google.com and I have access to Gemini. Like, I have to go to their labs product and turn things on.
It's not that simple, right?
Make it hard, right? Yeah. And so
my team uses a combination of these different tools depending on what makes sense for what we're trying to do. If it's a coding tool, it was actually Claude, and now it's Gemini, because Gemini's gotten better there. OpenAI for many of the broad questions. I mean, we're just using all different tools depending on what's better. And I think the game is about abstracting them from the user. Like, don't give people a choice. You kind of give them what's best. But like you're saying, there probably will be a convergence where technical teams may not be doing that anymore. The better tools will figure this out. And they personalize, they have memory, they have in-context memory.
Absolutely.
They know what you've done, so they keep you coming back.
Yeah. And I want that. And the sad thing is, like, Google has the distribution, right? So many, like Anthropic, OpenAI, they don't have that, right? But they have the distribution, but they're clinging on to the old model. Like, I think there's going to be business case studies in the future that are like, oh, they hung on to it way too long.
Well, for all those who invest in stock, I think Google's around 16 to 18 price to earnings ratio, which is really low compared to Microsoft. Yeah. Microsoft's much better. So right now people are betting that they're going to have a tough time. So you could make a bet on Google right now, buy a long-term call option if you think that's the way, or don't go the other way. So this is an amazing question to ponder. And I love your hot take on it, Bill. All right. Here's some questions about you. So did you always know you wanted to work in technology? Was there a specific moment or project that sparked your passion? How did you discover it? What got you sparked?
I always loved tech. I had a Commodore 64 growing up, for those old enough to, kind of remember that. And I love technology. I love software. I tried coding a game once. I had like a big paper manual and literally started writing the code.
Back then you had to write it in assembly?
Yeah, assembly, and I hit run, and it was like syntax error line 13. I fixed a syntax error line 47. And I said, you know what? I'm not good at this developing stuff. But I still love tech and I love software, and I was so into it. And I was at U of I when the web browser started coming out, and Mark Andreessen also was from there. And so I was just like, I just want to be on the business side somehow. I don't know how or what, but I did that, and we did a startup right out of college. It's in the gaming space. We sold that and did a bunch of others on the consumer side. But yeah,
what got you into doing startups like that early? Usually, the thing that your parents would say is, go make some money first, establish yourself first.
I don't know. They were just very supportive of me. Like, I always knew I wanted to be in business. I always wanted, I was a nerd. Like,
were you reading Fortune magazine at 12 or something?
I was,
10,
yeah.
12?
I was reading Fortune, Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Business Week. I just geeked out on that. I was such a nerd back then. I still am a nerd now, but whatever. I've embraced my nerddom. I like it. I like business, and it's okay to like it.
Bill, I relate to you. I don't usually share this very much, but now it's everywhere. My father used to bring home the Wall Street Journal, Business Week, Fortune magazine, and Time magazine, and that would be my weekly and daily reading.
Yeah. I think our parents were smart.
Those are my heroes, by the way. The business folks who were engineering the turnaround. Those are my heroes. So what I love about the business magazine is, unlike news is always, they tilt negatively.
Yeah.
Whereas business magazine, at least it used to be, about these amazing stories of turnaround and these new leaders that are confronting the problem and then in the middle of the great turnaround.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so many amazing stories. I still like, one of my favorite things now is like, I'll get an economist on a long flight and just read it, cover to end. And yeah, there's still so much great information. I think just like, just being curious and always learning. I think like,
it's awesome.
Because like go-to-market is always changing. There's always going to be something new. Like you can't just rest on, what worked last year, or a decade, or 3 decades ago.
You've gone from being a kick-ass CMO to a content creator. So was there a specific pain point that got you to that point to move from one to the other and start SaaS CMO Pro? Was there a trigger that made you decide you needed to be one delivering this as public education beyond private advisory? There's a lot of folks who, throughout the valley that do this, that they hit it, they provide advisory, they get on boards, and they're known, right? Or like you, they become venture partner or venture advisors, but you decided to turn this into a business where you go public. And I've seen your episode where you invested a ton into building your own studio. And so talk about what pain point.
Yeah. So first off, don't build your own studio. It took me forever to do. And although I can go fancy camera angles and, do all this, like,
I saw this great movable stuff. That's awesome.
It was movable. It was such a time. It took me like a year. And for those that do want to, I have a video on it if you want to get a good camera.
It's a great video. I saw it. It was awesome.
But I think for me, there were 2 things. Like, one, philosophically, I just knew when I was an operator, like, I just wanted to learn. I wanted other good sources, and I kind of wanted to give back, right? And just help people out. And so all my videos, all my content's totally free, whether it's shorts or long form stuff. I just wanted to help people out. That would be my aspirational good story. The lazy bad story was I kept getting asked the same questions by founders and CEOs. Like, how does freemium work? Or what is PLG? And I'm just like, I just want to make this video once. And now I just like send them a link afterwards. Yeah,
send the link.
This is how to do it. Just watch this video, right? Like, I just sent someone that wanted to work with me. I sent like 12 videos. I'm like, here's like literally like a ton of info. And if you still want to work there, great. So yeah, it was like just answering questions that have been answered again. But I just think it's super fun. I love go-to-market. I really do, right? Like, I don't need to do this. Because I love doing it. And I love working with other founders. And even like, it was interesting in the past when I do my advisory stuff, I'd usually do like series B and above. And now I've started doing like A and even seed round, because there's so many cool pure play AI companies that are coming out that are getting that good product market fit, but want help with their go-to-market, or want to help grow faster, want help with their marketing. And like, for me, that's super exciting. Like, this is like, if you're a student of business, which I know you are as well, this is an amazing time right now. Everything is changing. And just to be a part of that is super gratifying and rewarding for me.
That's fantastic. I can totally see that in you. And so do you apply rigorous data-driven go-to-market principles that you use for multi-billion-dollar companies to your own content creation strategy for SaaS CMO Pro and your YouTube channel? So are you tracking creator metrics, content qualified leads for audience retention on videos, personal brand attributions? Are you optimizing your own content funnel in a similar way that you did for your product launch? A lot of times when you create your own content, you kind of want to do it and move away from it. No. Or do you actually want? It took me a long time to want to watch myself again.
Totally. Well, so my dad was an engineer. And I always kind of was brought up in more of like a, measure stuff. I can hear him now, like measure 3 times, Bill, cut once, right? That's how you don't make a mistake. And so I always kind of had this measure thing. And when I got into business, I always hated the ivory tower thing and I saw this a lot of companies and even ones I worked at, where it'd be a bunch of execs sitting in a, nice high floor in their ivory tower. And they were debating like what should go on the homepage, and we should use this messaging or this image or this one. And I'm like, why are we deciding? Why don't we just test this and let the users answer?
Do
like what
2 or 3 versions and test it.
Totally. Right. And so like, I've always just tried to be open-minded, like, hey, put stuff out, test it. So yeah, there's all this creator type stuff, right? With you're looking at impressions, content quality, you're looking at engagement, and across all the different channels. So that's been really challenging for me. Is when I went out, I tried to be channel agnostic. So I'm doing stuff on TikTok and I'm doing stuff on LinkedIn and doing stuff on YouTube and all these different ones. And it's a learning experience, right? You learn and you're like, that worked. Boy, that bomb, that totally didn't work there. Like, I got to make my intro shorter and not just, wax on. And
I saw one thing in just the evolution on your YouTube shorts. You went from having the music in the background to not.
Yeah.
And frankly, it played so much better when you took it out. because you're a compelling speaker in and of itself, and you do add in these little video shorts as part of it.
And it was tough for me because I filmed a bunch of my content at the beginning, and then I did a mass, like I worked with editors and AI tools, and I have a big chunk of content that like I've already finished and I'm still releasing, and I have another bunch that's like revised, right? And one of the things I found in business is people don't want it over edited, right? It actually, like, over edited, I think smells like it's corporate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes just like a simple, authentic, or even just holding like an iPhone, walking around, hey guys, like here's how PLG works, like I think can perform better. So it's all these are learning experiences, and I think you just come with an open mind, and you can still improve. And I asked my daughter what works too. That helps.
How old's your daughter?
She's 15 now. And so she's always like, Dad, oh my God, like that was cringy. What are you doing?
You have the perfect audience for it to test you. Right? That's great. All right, here we go. I have a bunch of quick question and answers, more about you. So what's something you thought that you figure out by now, but are still completely confused by?
Women. No, I'm kidding. That's something my dad would say. I love you, honey. Amy, you're the best.
But it keeps you together.
It does.
Otherwise you would get bored.
I'm still keeping on my toes. She's still trying to figure out, does she want my advice right now, or does she just want me to listen to what happened, right? I think I'm learning that. Like, usually I give the advice. I'm like, no, shut up, Bill. Just listen and you'll be better.
Listen till they ask. All right, great answer. What's a question you wish people would ask more often? And what's a question you wish they'd stop asking?
I wish more founders would kind of like, hey, how can we update our go-to-market, right? How can we update our pricing? How can we just improve it? I just feel like for a lot of founders, and I get it, like most founders in the Bay Area are technical founders, right? So go-to-market is kind of new. And I love working with founders that are like, hey, we want a more modern, clean go-to-market engine. So yeah, that's definitely something.
That's awesome. What do you wish they would stop asking about? That's a tough one, because you seem like a pretty open and easy, approachable person. So
yeah, I'm trying to think, just something like more around like an old sales model. Like, this sales model should work. Like, why does no one know about us? Or I don't know. Like, usually I'm pretty open-minded with all the questions. There's no bad questions, right? And I get it. Like, if I was a technical founder, this is all new. If I'm the CEO, if I'm running technical stuff, I'm going to ask a lot of like weird or dumb questions. It just is what it is. Like, you're just learning.
Nice. What's a piece of conventional wisdom that everyone around you accepts, but you secretly think might be wrong? Or in your case, you might just openly think they're wrong.
Well, we talked about the freemium, right?
Definitely.
I think people have a really harsh reaction to it. And as a marketer and a growth person, like, I've seen the incredible power that it has. So I'd probably go with that one.
That's a great one. If you could have a 30-minute conversation with any version of yourself in the past, what age would you pick and what would you want to discuss?
Oh man, I would want to go back to, I think, my 10-year-old self. I remember riding my dirt bike, and I remember stopping in the middle of the street and thinking like, wow, I wonder like what my life will be like at like 50 or 51, like when I am now. And it would be fun to go back and talk to that person and just be like, hey, and here's how it turned out, or this worked, or this absolutely did not work. It would just be a fun, I don't know.
What's one piece of advice you'd give yourself? You're 10 years old, it's your 50-year-old self. You're a 10-year-old that's actually willing to listen, which is actually 10 is a good age for listening. It's not, because 14 is not a good age for listening.
Well, I watch a lot of like Thai movies and back in history and stuff like. So I would say, like, first I'd say, don't change a thing, otherwise I won't be here, and I would have met my wife and had my amazing daughter.
There's that movie. Oh God,
the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
Like, make sure you get on this train or move to Denver at this time or do whatever. There,
give him the comic book like Back to the Future.
No, but if I had to give myself, just always be learning, right? Like, just stay humble, know what you know what you don't know, and just like, hey, just always try to be learning.
Do you have a favorite life motto?
Carpe diem. I end a lot of my videos with that one, and I'm just a big believer in like, there's opportunities everywhere, and like, sometimes just take it, seize the day, right? Just go out there. Life is short, life is precious. My dad's been battling through cancer. That's been really rough, and it's like one of those things, like, you just have to, like, every moment is precious, right? You just have to like seize the day. Like, don't waste any days. Just go out there.
I love it. What's something that consistently surprises you about other people, either in a good way or a bad way?
I'm always surprised by the humanity, the goodness of people. Like, maybe not surprised, but I think some people are like, oh, there's just some people are just bad or this or that. And I always think like, there's just so many good, humble, great people out there, like trying to do the right thing. And I even think with business, that happens a lot too, right? Like if we make that parallel where, if you give a bad metric to someone and they're just going to try to hit it, right? If you give marketers leads, they're just going to stuff with as many leads as they can, but it was a bad metric, but there's just good people, right? So I think most people are trying to do the right thing. And, as leaders and as business people, if we can support them and give them the right metrics, we can take them down the right path.
I think there's too much of this, like you're saying, us versus them.
Yeah.
And it's created a highly polarized environment. And instead of they're evil, they're awful, they're stupid, maybe there's hey, let's understand why you have that point of view.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And frankly, I see this a lot with college kids. And I thought college was supposed to be a place where you learn things, learn how to think. And so there's some work to be done. And I'd love to see, like you're talking about, open yourself up to other folks and
beginner's mindset.
Think
right?
They're good. If you start off thinking they're pretty good, you're probably less likely to label them.
Totally.
All right. If you had to teach a masterclass on something that's not your job, something you're genuinely passionate about, what would the course be called?
Soil structure and gardening. I really nerd out on that. I nerd out on a lot of things. I just get into stuff, but I love gardening. If there's any gardeners out there, whether you're talking about like ornamentals, edibles, just across the board, I love growing things. And I think it's like super fun. Yeah. I've got a bunch of fruit trees I'm growing right now, and I've dived way into avocados and nightly temperatures and AB pollination. And I love gardening. If anyone wants to geek out on that, hit me up on LinkedIn.
That's fantastic. So thank you for that. This was super helpful. This was one of the best sessions I've ever had. Bill, you're a true pro. And, I love marketers who are super innovative like you that are now out there teaching. And you've opened yourself up so much to it. So I'd urge everyone to take a look at Bill's YouTube channel, SaaS CMO Pro. Recently, Bill also, along with our friend John Miller and a couple other folks, put out SaaS benchmarks, right? SaaS go-to-market.
SaaS B2B marketing
benchmarks. And I think they can get to them if they, on LinkedIn, just ask you.
Just ask me. Hit me up on LinkedIn, say, hey, I want the B2B benchmark report. Or literally, if anyone just wants to chat, exchange ideas, LinkedIn's probably the best place to reach me. Or you can always go to my site, cmopro.com.
Chock full of fantastic information. He's very open and free with Bill's offering. So loved having you on the show, Bill, and look forward to hanging out with you over in Marin.
Absolutely. Hey, it was such a pleasure talking with you. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again for having me.
If you're a marketing or business innovation geek, this is the perfect episode. Bill has really thought through his methodology, his way of thinking, his belief system coming from the gaming world and applying those learnings, his notion of product-led growth, freemium, and how that applies to today's, or even he talked about today, product-led sales, which I think is a really interesting subject for people to get into. And what I like about it is with the channel that he's created, you can access all that. So our objective was to get that extra out of him that you couldn't get from all those places. And we got that today. And I really appreciate it. Love his point of view about carpe diem, seize the day, grab opportunities where they can be. There's so many opportunities that are out there. He expressed real concerns about what could happen in the AI world. And some of it is a leap of faith. And it's hard when you have that leap of faith. And we're all dealing with it. I love his hot take on Google and what they're missing the boat on. And it's instructive. This is one of those things where you have to look and say, this is a time to mark and say, it's a great debate. So thank you for joining us today. It was such a thrill to have this conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as me. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this pod, please take a moment to rate it and comment. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, our own website, and everywhere podcasts can be found. The show is produced by Anand Shah and edited by Sean Marr and Laura Ballant. I'm your host, Rajiv Parikh from Position Squared, an AI-driven, hopefully PLG-driven growth marketing company based in Silicon Valley. Come visit us at position2.com. This is an Effin' Funny production, and we'll catch you next time. Remember, folks, be ever curious.